How
I
do you
like that.
motivate yourself when you don't have the motivation?
Uh, what do
Oh,
I do?
I just go with the flow, Erika. I just sit down and do nothing.
First, I bitch about it, and then when I'm done bitching about it, I get out of bed.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Chai with Us podcast. This is episode number 8. I am Erika, the personal developer.
And I'm Ivana from okoloizabells. Thank you for joining us today as we discuss goals.
Thank you very much for joining us. We're very excited to talk about this today, especially because this is one of those days where I feel very energized and motivated to do whatever. And you're the same, right, Ivana?
Yes, I feel the same way.
Yeah. So where do we want to start?
Well, why don't we start with the definition of what a goal is? Where does a goal come from? What do you
Yeah.
think it is?
I think a goal is something that you would like to achieve. It's something that
Mhm.
you look at and you say, you know what, I want that. That's a
Yes.
goal. It's not something that I would like to do that one day. It's something that I want to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And then you take action. And
Yes.
then that's where the motivation gets in.
So I Googled it just to make sure that we're all on the same page.
You're great. I
And
love the
what
fact that
Google,
you Googled it. I
I
love
know I
the fact
had
that you
to, like,
Googled
I
it.
know what a goal is for me, but I just want to make sure, like, I understand what the masses think a goal is. And so
Yeah.
Google says it's an idea of the future or a desired result that you want, that you commit to achieve. So it starts off with this idea that you have of how you want your future self to be, or future, like what you want to achieve. And then you
Yeah.
take steps to achieve that.
Yeah.
So first it starts off inside of ourselves, somewhere, like maybe it's in your brain. It's like, oh, maybe I want to be, maybe I want to run a marathon, right? Like that's an interesting goal. And well, let's say you want to run a marathon, you need to take steps and like to get there every day. You can't just say, oh, tomorrow's a marathon, I'm gonna go running. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
but that's how you can get hurt too. You know what I mean? So you need to have
Yes.
steps that you take to become ready to actually run a marathon.
Yeah. And when you have a goal that you really want to achieve, you know that you will have some steps in between the
Hmm.
now and the future that we want
Hmm.
to get,
Yeah.
whatever that
And
is.
I think it's very important to say too that when you're working towards this future goal, you might have to like step back a little bit. Like sometimes as the process goes, like you might be ahead and then something happens and you need to step back,
Mm-hmm.
and that's just normal. It's the normal process when you're working towards something that you want to achieve. So not to get discouraged. So maybe, because I'm talking about training for a marathon, maybe when you're training, you injure your foot, and so then you have to take like 2 weeks off before you can run again, and you feel
Yes.
very defeated. That's really where your motivation comes in, to not succumb to that defeat and to know that your foot is going to heal and you are going to run again.
Mm-hmm. Well, now that we know what's a goal, that we all are in the same page and we know what a goal is, um, how do you set your goals? How do you set the goals for yourself?
How do I do that? I write it down because I'm such a big believer in writing things down, because then when you write it down, whatever idea you have inside of yourself is outside of yourself. And so then when you read it back to yourself, it's like the environment reading back to you of what you just wrote. And so then it's like you put it out into the universe, and now the universe is going to help you in certain ways to achieve that goal. So for me, when I set goals, I write it down, and I usually do it on the full moon and the new moon, and I write down what I want to happen in a month. And I just,
Mm-hmm.
maybe they're like really like, I wish I was in India, for example. Well, that's not going to happen because no one is traveling right now.
Mm-hmm.
So it just depends on like what's going on in your environment you have to work towards. And it's also very important not to feel defeated if all your goals are not met, because that's not always going to happen. Maybe just
Yeah.
one of your goals is met.
Yeah.
What
And
about you? What do you do?
yeah, I just wanted to add something to what you said and about the fact that don't get discouraged when you cannot achieve your goals, because sometimes the goals, you may feel that you really have to achieve that, but sometimes they just see them as a point of like a sense of direction, you know?
Yes.
You want to walk towards that. And it's not, and most of the times when we are planning for a goal, we think that it's going to happen 3 months from now or 6 months
Yes.
from now. Like newsflash, it's not really, because things always
Yes.
take longer than we
Mm-hmm.
think they are going to take. So yeah, don't get discouraged, and just see it as a sense of direction, and don't be afraid to change your goals, because maybe you change your mind. And it
Yes.
happens to me sometimes. I get so stuck up in the goal, like I have to get this, I have to get
Yes.
this, and then I forget, like, okay, let me check in and let me see if I still want this, if it is, this is the correct time. So, and this is one thing that I do, going back to planning and how to set our
Okay.
goals. So I kind of have a system, because I've been doing this for some time.
Mm-hmm.
So what I basically do is to I do something like per year, per semester, per trimester.
Yes.
You know what I mean? I am always
Yes.
checking my goals. So at the end of the year, I will think about what went well, what I achieved. I celebrate everything that I achieved. I check what I want to change, and I check if I want new goals. And it's great because I also write it down. Now I have the bullet journal, and it's great because I have a whole page for my goals, and I start the year writing down what the goals I didn't achieve last year, like, pending issues. So
Okay.
I know that I want to still tackle these goals. So I start with these ones, and then I write down my new goals. And I go back to it, and I basically do the same process after 3 months, and other 3 months, and then at the end of the year as well, just to check in and to always be in contact with my goals. I like to go there and see them, just because I love visualization, I love affirmation. And I know that if you are always seeing your goals, if you have a vision board, if you have your goals written somewhere you can see, your brain is going to find a way to sort them out. So I
Yes.
always make sure I go back to it, and I notice the difference. For example, if I have one day where I don't take a look at my bullet journal, I will probably not do it. And I noticed something: when I don't post on social media, I will probably not post something on social media when I'm
Okay.
supposed to. So yeah, writing is a big one for me to set my goals, and also just check in every 3 months or so. I also do something
Yeah.
monthly, but it's very light because there is not
Yeah.
enough time to see progress.
I like what you always say is to respect your energy level. Maybe when you're working
Mhm.
towards your goal, because it's so like masculine energy, like, oh, I want to achieve this goal. I want to achieve this and this and this. Because I think sometimes we're socialized, right, to achieve things, to be achievers, that we never go back to our feminine energy, which is like receiving, and
Yeah.
just by the act of you writing it down on a piece of paper, you're putting it into the universe, and then somehow it's going to happen. Maybe not today or tomorrow, but it is going to happen.
Yeah.
So I always like that, because you always say that to me, to respect your energy level. So what that means is check in with yourself, with your gut. How does this make me? How do I feel if I don't achieve this goal? Am I going to be embarrassed? Am I going to feel defeated? Like, what's the worst case scenario that's going to happen if I don't achieve this goal? Because I believe you need to find people that also help you. So when let's say like I did a triathlon with a friend, and I told everybody I knew, because I knew that those people would hold me accountable. And so the
Yes.
days that I didn't want to do it, I'd be like, oh, okay, now I don't want to feel like I didn't achieve that. And so it's very important to surround yourself with people that you can tell who you're like, what your goals are, so that they can hold you accountable. Like, you're holding me accountable for writing that book, and I'm going to do it when
Yeah.
the energy is right for me. So I like that. I think it's
Yeah.
important to have a good peer group.
Yes, I think that accountability buddies are the best, because that's
Mm-hmm.
it. They keep you on track. Another thing that you also mentioned, and that I also try to do with my goals, is just when I ask the universe for something, I just let go.
Yes,
I
exactly.
mean, it's not that
Mm-hmm.
I know that I'm walking towards it. I know that every month I'm checking in. So I am not every day, you know, putting a lot of weight on myself. I just,
Mm-hmm.
I ask this and I let go. And if
Yes.
you are going towards your goal, if you are doing something every day or every week, I mean, there's nothing else you have to worry about. The universe is going to take care of the rest of the things. And I just remember something that is so cool. if you ever read Ask and It Is Given,
Yes.
there is an exercise where and I do this when I'm feeling overwhelmed and when I'm putting too much weight on myself. What I do is I write a list of things that I want to take care of,
Okay.
things I have to do. And on the other side, things that I want the universe to do for me.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's so cool. I didn't invent this. This is in this book, Ask and It Is Given by
Abraham
Hicks. So, and it's, oh my God, it's so liberating because some things are out of your control, because sometimes when you say, okay, I want 10 new customers, you are going to make the calls, but maybe the universe is going to draw these people, towards you. So there's some things that you can ask the universe and then just let go. And for me, writing down this list and just let go, and like there are certain things that I will not control, but I already asked for it.
Yes.
This part is done, and then while you do your part and you work with the universe, the energies, or whatever we call it, life itself, I think it's great. And it's for me, it's a secret. When I let go, it looks very intuitive, right?
Yes.
Because you want something, at the same time I'm telling you, let go. But it helps. It helps seriously, because when you don't want to push it too hard.
Exactly.
Whenever you're trying that hard, where you feel like contracted, it is not going to happen. You have to have a little bit of letting go, so you can create space for things to happen. It's very, very important. A very huge lesson that I've learned. And another thing I wanted to mention about goals is that sometimes we think that goals are only, okay, I want to lose weight, I want to run a marathon, I want to change my professional life. I mean, you can have goals, like personal goals. This year, I want to be more balanced. I mean, that's a goal.
Okay. Yes.
That's a goal. For me, it's a goal to be balanced while I do all this crazy stuff that I do, which is complicated. But I have to have this as a goal, because otherwise I'm only focused on all this craziness. So it's good to have personal goals. And I forgot to say that when I'm trying to do my goals and define what I want to do, I divide it by categories. You will find tons of things online about life categories. There's tons of material. But like, make sure you also have like personal goals, personal growth, or if you want more stability, and stuff like that, are very important.
I agree with you. I think it's very important for me, for example, to say that I want to be grounded this year, like grounded in my own energy, because so many times we are up in our head and we're not really in our body. So for me this year, I think it's very important to say that I will be present in all the experiences that are happening in my life, because sometimes when I'm somewhere that I don't want to be, I just check out and I go somewhere in my head. I think a lot of people do that too nowadays with technology, because we can listen to music, and so then we're never really interacting with the people that are surrounding us.
Yes, it is so true. And so I think that when we think about goals, especially if you have a lot of personal stuff that you still need to work on, I would start with personal stuff, because once you deal with the personal stuff, you probably won't even have goals. You will want to stay as you are, because when you are grounded and you are fine and everything is okay, you have goals, but it's not
exactly. It's not the be all end all.
Exactly. It's not, you're fine, you're good, but well, wouldn't it be nice if I could? It's a different feel, and of course you will have different energy to go after your goals. If you are depressed with anxiety and all this kind of stuff, it's everything is way heavier. And it's
I mean, how would you feel if you knew that every single goal you've ever written or desired was achievable? I think if I knew that, I would be at peace and I would feel calm. Like if I knew that everything all these goals that I've had, they were able to be achieved, I would just be calm and like know that it's coming.
That's so beautiful. What a powerful question. Yes, you will probably have no rush. You would probably not stress about having it done in 1 month or 2, because you know what, I'm going to achieve this anyway. So maybe I will relax and enjoy life. And yeah, that's a very powerful question. If you have no idea what your goal is, because sometimes people, Okay, so first of all, you don't have to have a goal. It's not mandatory.
Mm-hmm.
It's not mandatory. If you are fine without having like a goal or something, it's not mandatory. I just think it's important because it gives you some sense of direction in life.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it's like you're navigating through life, but you are hoping for something. So you are
Exactly.
in contentment, but you
You're
are also
creating your future.
exactly. And I think that's really cool. And now I forgot what I was going to say.
I'm sorry.
It's not your fault because I just totally deviated from what I wanted to
No,
say.
I like what you said. You're saying that it's okay if you don't have goals, you know, you're just living life. But that can be amazing because maybe you're in tune with the energies in the universe
Mhm,
and you're just a receptor, like you just receive whatever the universe sends you, which is so beautiful because
mhm.
some of us sometimes might not even appreciate a gift that the universe is giving us because we're so focused on, oh, well, I need to achieve this goal. No, thank you. I don't want this now, even though the universe is trying to help you out.
Yes, yes, it's so crazy. Sometimes the universe is like screaming, "What is it? Go this way!" And we're like,
Yes.
"No, look."
It's not on my list.
Yes, yeah, it's not on my list. You see, I didn't write this down. It is, and sometimes
Yeah.
it's even better than we imagine. But we are, oh my God, such a good point,
I
Ivana.
have a story with
Yes.
this. So I was seeing this guy, and everything was wrong about the whole relationship, whatever you want to call it. And you know, I was not happy, and I we went out one night to meet up with his friends, and the energy was so off. Like I felt like something was gonna happen all night long. Like something was telling me, like, go home now, and I didn't. So me and him
Mhm.
ended up in the same taxi, and then we got hit by a car, and I hit my head and had a concussion. And so here's the universe interfering and be like, okay, you don't want to listen. I'm going to make you listen. And so you know, the universe orchestrated that whole event. Like, and we were so close to our house of where we were going. It wasn't even that far away. But even before we got into the car, the Uber driver didn't want to take us. She was like making up all these excuses, but we're like, no, we want to get in the car, like take us. And so then the accident happened. I had a concussion, and then I completely reevaluated my whole life and realized, like, what do I really want to do? Because I found out that I have an autoimmune disease because of that. So that was, yes, it was a horrible event that happened, but that was the
Mhm.
universe putting me back on the right path, the path to healing, which I was on, but I kind of deviated because ooh, there's candy. I want some candy. You know what I
Yes,
mean?
yes, yes. You're like, just spend a little
Let
bit
me
on
just hold
it.
on. And the universe was like, no, I'm going to make you listen, like you just said. And she did. And now I listen.
Yeah, that's crazy how sometimes the universe just puts you in your place, you know? Like,
Yes.
what are you doing? What are you doing? And it's so funny. I had a few situations like this um, with my new job, for example. So I was hired to work like for 15 days or something like that. And then I was supposed to go on leave and do my own thing and whatever. And so I was trying so hard, I'm going to do my own thing. And they invited me to work with them again. And and I said, listen, no, because I was so focused on what I was doing that I said, come on, again, change again, because sometimes I feel like it's enough already. Okay. I just
Mm-hmm.
want to stay here. And then she reached out to me again and she, come on, let's meet. And okay. And then I thought about it. I was like, listen, you know what? I can do both. And this is cool. It's good money.
Mm-hmm.
I love the job. I mean, I can have two jobs that I love. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I accepted. Oh, and then there's this coronavirus situation.
Ah, okay.
Okay. So imagine Erica with no job trying to start a business. I mean, and the universe was like, come on, accept this, accept this. I was like, oh no, I have this thing I have to do. Jeez,
I have this thing I have to do that I
I'm
can't tell you about.
I'm so busy. You know what I mean? And this is so true. It is so true. So
Yeah.
yeah,
So I
yeah.
think it's so important to be in tune with the universe and to listen to the signs. You know, I could have just been like, oh no, that accident was just like an accident. No, it wasn't. It was like, you know, you're getting off the path you're supposed to be on. Let me pull you back on the right path for you. And
Yeah.
sometimes that happens. And that's what we said at the beginning. It's okay. You know, it's okay if you get off the path. There, you know, all paths lead to the same thing. We're all going to get to the same destination at the end of life. You know what I mean? And
Mhm.
so it's in the journey and how you're
Yeah.
living it.
Yeah. And what is yours is yours. It's not going
Exactly.
away. And from experience, every time I had to stop, every time I lost the job, every time something happened or I had an injury and I cannot practice yoga, I
Mm-hmm.
needed to stop. You
Yes,
know what I mean?
absolutely.
I was
Mm-hmm.
trying too hard. I was pushing too much, and I had to stop. And sometimes we are lucky that life
Gives us that.
actually like stops you, because otherwise, what will happen? You know,
But
and
I
it's
think
good
it's
to do.
also scary because that time when you're looking for a job, you're like sometimes might become depressed and like, oh, I'm never gonna find a job and I'm not gonna have money and I have to pay rent and
Mhm.
you're living in this fear mentality, which is not true because you will find a job and you will work
Yes.
again and
Yeah.
things are gonna work out and you will heal. Whatever injury you have heals. Like the body is so amazing. I love Joe Dispenza. You watch him sometimes on
Yes,
Instagram?
I love
I
him. Yes.
love him.
Yes.
Everyone, you need to go on Instagram or go somewhere else and find this man and listen to what he says because he talks
Yes.
about your body's ability to heal itself. And I'm such a big believer in that. But where does that come from? You first have to have that mentality and that idea that it is going to work. Like you have to believe it. You can
Hmm.
drink all the pills, everything that you want, but if you don't believe that you're going to heal, you're not going to. Like you have to have faith and believe in it.
I totally agree. Totally agree with that. And fear is one of the main reasons why we don't sit down to set goals,
Mm-hmm.
and the reason why we do not achieve our goals, because we are scared,
Mm-hmm.
because we fear that we're going to fail. But
Yeah.
in order to achieve a goal, especially if it's an ambitious goal, you have to be willing to fail. And that
Do,
sucks. It's horrible, but
do you believe that sometimes the reason is that people don't want to achieve their goals or their life that they envision is because then like their dream is not a dream anymore, it's a reality, and maybe they're scared that they're not going to like it. Does that
yeah,
make sense? What I'm okay.
yeah, it makes sense. It makes sense. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that's, I don't know, maybe in this case, if you are scared that you're not going to like it, I think you should rethink your goal.
Exactly. Yeah.
I think that I used to have this fear, and sometimes I have this fear that if I make it, then that means that I got to more people. So I have a bigger responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I
Okay.
mean?
Yes.
And then I'm like, will I know how to deal with that? Will I
Mm-hmm.
know how to deal with more money? Will I know how to deal with people reaching out? You know,
Mm, yes.
and that's I have this kind of fear sometimes of getting there. But I think that if you're scared, you're going to get there and you're not going to like it, then I don't know. I think you should.
I
I
think this comes from like, for example, like I was a lawyer, I am a lawyer, and
Yeah.
I spent so much of my life like in high school, like working really hard, and in college and law school to get to become a lawyer. And then when I started working, I didn't really like it, and I kept pushing that side of me away and being like, "Oh no, you're just starting out, that's why you don't like it." I kept on making up all these excuses, but no, I just didn't like
Yeah.
being a lawyer. That was the truth. And so that's, I feel like that was such a goal that I spent so much of my life working towards. And then when I
Hmm.
became it, it was nothing like I thought it was going to be. And I was so disappointed. And so for me to get away from this disappointment, I had to tell myself, listen, none of the what you learned went to waste. Like you learned so many things. You learned how to negotiate, how to mediate, how to speak for yourself, how to speak for other people, how to research, how to write. You
Hmm.
learned all these skills that you can use in another job, so it's not going to go to waste. I just had to change my mindset of
Hmm.
disappointment to happiness and achievement, because I did achieve all those things, and I'm proud of myself. So now it's a new goal and a new path.
Yeah, exactly. That's the same. I mean, if this happens to you, that's the attitude. I mean, you were learning, you were doing
Yes.
stuff, you were you still achieved the goal. You did something
Mm-hmm.
for yourself, and that is great. And I would also like to point out that sometimes we think that we are going to achieve the goal and that we are going to feel like we are going to be the happiest
Yes, I know what you
person.
mean.
Come on, let's lower a little bit the expectations here. The gold, the gold is in the process,
Yes.
because once you get there, you're gonna celebrate it.
Yes.
Well, okay, I don't know, 1 hour, 1 hour, 2 days,
Yes.
3 days, and then you're gonna move on to the next thing, because you're gonna be like, oh, this
Exactly.
is cool, and then this is the next thing. So I think the
Mhm.
goal is the process, and we forget about this so many times.
Yes,
I
it is
mean,
the
the
process.
process is the best part, because when you achieve it, I mean, it's great. It builds up your self-confidence and
Mhm.
everything. But the juice of the things is in the process. Is every time
Mhm.
you achieve one thing after the other and after the
Yes.
other and after the other. And then it's just ecstasies, and then,
Mhm.
okay, I feel good. It's cool. You know, when you in
Yeah.
life, this happened to me in life. Like when you earn a certain paycheck
Yes.
and you are broke and you're like, oh, his life, and then you earned a little bit more and you're like,
Uh-huh.
oh, big party, right? And then you're like, and then you know what I
Yes,
mean?
I do know what you
It's
mean.
like the goal is when you are trying to achieve all these things and you are
Exactly.
progressing in life, and you look back and you're like, wow, look where I am today. It's
Yes.
just so cool, because the celebrating part is just, it's just a little bit.
Yeah.
You are going to still be you, even if you are a millionaire,
Mhm.
billionaire, or I don't know, whatever you want. It's just you at the
Yeah.
end of the day.
Yeah, there is
Yeah.
something that they call like a runner depression that happens to people after they've run the marathon, like because they trained for 3 months, 4 months for it, and then an event happened, and you're so excited and you're finished and you did
Yeah.
it, and then you go through like this 1 week or 2 weeks of extreme depression of like, what do you do now?
Yeah.
Yeah,
You're
so it's definitely that
empty.
happens to a lot of people.
Yeah. And that must be weird. Like you feel empty.
Maybe
I know.
what am I gonna say, like the regular cycle of nature, because so many women also after they give childbirth go into depression,
Hmm.
postpartum depression, which is normal. So maybe that's, when you're like building, 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 and then it's like you finish the goal and then there's a drop,
Yeah.
which, just to be in tune with the universe, you're gonna get back up there again. It's a constant up and down
Yeah.
within your life.
Yeah. And I think that when we achieve a goal, we go so high, right?
Yes,
We go so high. And I think that after that, usually,
yes,
it's like the energy is trying to balance itself,
yes,
and you are
yeah,
trying to adapt to your new
mm-hmm,
normal life, reality, new self-confidence, or whatever happened.
yeah,
And I think that weird stuff can happen after you achieve a goal. And I love
mm-hmm,
that we're talking about this. It wasn't planned, but I think this is
yeah.
very important, because it happens to a lot of people. And then you start questioning yourself, like, why am I not feeling happy? I should be jumping
Exactly, because I
around.
achieved this goal. Yeah.
But no, you shouldn't. I mean,
Mhm.
if you are not, that's okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
really cool.
So always come back to what we've talked about since we started this podcast. Come back to your routine. Maybe start doing yoga again. Come back into your body to feel again how it is that you felt.
Yeah, I think so. And one thing that happened to me, and I always love to mention when we talk about goals, um, is that we focus a lot in the future. Yeah,
Yes.
I was doing a lot of visualization, affirmation, and focusing on my goals and everything, which is fine. But then I realized, like, wait a minute, what about the now? Like, what
Mhm.
am I doing? I'm
Exactly.
projecting a future that it's far away. When I started my journey, listen, I was living in a house that I hated, with people that I didn't like, didn't treat me, you know.
Yeah.
I had a long way. I really had a
Mhm.
long way emotionally, professionally, financially. I had a long way. So I knew it was going to take me some time. But like,
Yes.
I I I didn't want to spend 3 years looking into in the future, not living the present. So it was
Mhm.
very important for me to work on my goals, but at the same time work on being present and mindful
Yes.
as well. Because as I said, you achieve your goal and then you go to the next thing. Then you are not living in the present ever,
Mhm. There's
ever.
that good book called The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle.
My
Very good
Bible.
book.
That book
That's
is my Bible. I love
mhm.
it. And the part that I love the most is when he says, he says it in a better way than I do, of course. But it's
Mhm.
something like, um, do you have a problem now?
Mm-hmm.
Is there something wrong now? And
Yeah.
the tendency is, yes, I don't have a job. Yes, I don't. But I mean, now, like
Exactly. Now in the present.
now in the
Mm-hmm.
present, there is no problem. I
Yes.
am, if I can read this sentence, if I can hold this book, is because I bought this book. If I am warm, it's because I am inside a house. And this book is just, it's just great. I love it. And I mean, going after your goals and just worry about the future, and
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a no-no. Doesn't work for me
Yeah.
at least.
Mm-hmm. I think my book Bible would have to be How You Can Heal Your Life by Louise Hay. I love that book. I think it's amazing. I highly recommend it to everybody because she makes you work through steps. She's like, do you have anger towards somebody? Okay, who is it? Then you write it out. Can you do anything about it?
Hmm.
And it doesn't happen immediately. Like, well, I write it down. Oh, okay, it's finished. No, like it took me like a whole year to work
Mm-hmm.
through the exercises, and they're becoming like reality. Like I'm able to slowly let go of all this repressed anger I had towards certain people in my life that I didn't even know I had, if that makes sense. Like sometimes
Yeah.
you don't know why you're so angry and you can't pinpoint like what about this person or what about her, like she's just acting as like a catalyst, right? Maybe she's creative and I'm not being creative, and so
Mm-hmm.
now I'm like jealous of her and I'm putting her into that anger category. But that's just a reflection on me. Like I need to work on myself for that, and work
Yeah.
on like, well, why am I not being creative if that's what I want to do?
Yeah. That's
Yeah,
why I
excellent
love
book.
that. I love personal development stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
like sometimes I'm like, oh, whatever, I'm just gonna do this for fun, you know, and I'm just gonna try this out because it's, or I think it's a good coaching tool or something like that. And I try it out. I
Mm-hmm.
discovered things that and like sometimes I remember I did this healing exercise, you know, to let go of past relationships I had so I could
Okay.
be
Yeah.
completely open to new relationships. And I totally thought that the exercise was going to be about my ex-boyfriend, but
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't like that. I was crying about things that
Mm-hmm.
were way, way in the past. And
Yes.
if I didn't do this episode, if I didn't do this exercise, I would probably still have this, you know, those
Yes.
feelings towards that
Mm-hmm.
person that it's so, so way back in the past. I didn't know this was here inside.
Yes.
I just thought it was the
Exactly.
most recent situations, but you know what? The exercise, it's
Mm-hmm.
not like I did a lot of work. It was just one question, and then also,
Isn't there a book called The Body Keeps Score? I think there's a book that's called that or something to that
probably, but
effect. And it talks
yeah,
about how your body internalizes all these things that you're repressing that have happened to you.
yeah, it's true. I truly believe, and if you notice, some of us we have certain areas that are always, you know,
Hence,
tense and blocked,
yes.
right? Um,
Mm-hmm.
and that's a direct consequence of the things that we
Mm-hmm.
accumulate in the body. Totally.
Yeah, I have like rolled shoulders forward, and you see that in a lot of people that are trying to protect their heart. Like they have their shoulders rolled
Ah,
forward instead of like sitting backwards.
oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I sit like I don't care.
Whatever.
I don't smoke anymore.
You mean you don't have that green medicine ball that you like is supposed to give you perfect posture?
No, I don't. But I have very good. I always had very good
Yeah,
posture sitting down. Always.
that's good.
One day, a professor just stopped the entire class to tell everybody how to sit. I was like,
Oh, good.
you sit. I know how to sit. I didn't know anything else about life, but I knew how to sit.
Uh,
Hmm. So yeah, and what about motivation? Like, what motivates you to achieve your goals?
Whew. What motivates? I think this internal desire that I first had for wanting that goal. Like I had a desire I had a desire to do a triathlon, and every day I motivated myself to get out of bed and go running, even though I didn't want to. But I already told so many people, and then when you finish it, like that feeling of like, yes, I did this. Like I swam, I rode a bike, I ran, and I didn't die. Like it's this most amazing feeling ever of finishing it. Like you feel so, I can't even describe it to you. It's just like, ah.
I can feel it just looking at you. I can feel it like the
And I
excitement.
always told myself I would do the Ironman before I turned 30, and that definitely never happened.
Whoa, I don't
It's
know the
intense.
details, but I know, yeah.
It's
Very
intense.
intense.
It's Because most people, like, there's this video that you can watch where this woman did her first Ironman, and at the end she was so exhausted that she actually fell to the ground and crawled. Like, she literally dragged herself across the finish
Whoa.
line.
I don't want to.
And so when you're training, it's so important because you feel so tired and defeated that you watch these kind of videos. And also there's Dick and Rick Hoyt, and the son was paralyzed, and so his dad, who used to be, I think, in the Marine Corps, started doing Ironmans with him. So he would like drag him like as he was swimming. He would like, you know, bike with him, and then he would like have him in like a stroller when he was running, because he wanted his son to experience the Ironman. It's amazing. If you have the chance, just Google them and watch their YouTube video, because that gives you so much motivation to do it. Like, so I guess for me, motivation comes from watching other people have what they did to achieve that. And it's so powerful of how much this dad loved his son to do that for him. It's a beautiful story.
That is so beautiful.
Yeah. I feel like I'm so excited talking about it. Like, maybe I'll do another triathlon, but it takes so much work, like every day. And that's the other thing, right? Like, when you commit to doing it, you have to say no to other things because you just don't have the time in your schedule. So maybe when your friends are out drinking and they invite you, you can't go because you need to like run 16 miles today, and you know, you can't change your schedule. And then you realize you're in this constant like, oh, I'm doing this today, tomorrow. It like organizes your life and you become so much healthier. And so I highly recommend triathlons to people. Like, you can do it, just do a small one. You'll feel amazing afterwards, just to know that I did this.
That's so cool. And another thing that people can do to help them with their goals, I think it's helpful to know what can stop you. You know, the normal things, because some of us, we know that we are going to receive that call from that friend to do something at the time that we are supposed to work on our goals. Or maybe you live with someone and then it's harder for you to achieve your goal. I mean, if when you're planning your goals and you're planning what you want to achieve for the year, the semester, or or so it's good to ask yourself, like, what is it that can keep me away from my goal? And sometimes they're just simple things, and this is not to be negative, it's just for you to know what you are doing, because once you know that, you know what, I will never do this in the afternoon because I love spending afternoons with my boyfriend doing nothing. That's fine. Then you schedule it for the morning time, because you already know that in the morning it's going to be best for you. And another advice I have for you guys is just, you know, be your best friend in this type of situations. Just make things easy for you. You know, if usually, imagine you want to start working out at home, and you walk home, and the first thing you want to do is to sit down in your couch
and open the fridge and get a cookie,
or open the fridge. Like, you know, just create an idea in your, maybe you should put your sport clothes in on top of
that's such a good idea. Your running shoes.
Your running shoes, something, whatever, just make things easy, because sometimes we're like, okay, I want to achieve this. How do I get there? Okay, I have to run. Okay, I need to run. I have to run. Just make things easy for you to run. And this goes for everything. Start to have like positive triggers. Once I get inside the house, I get my trainers and I don't have time to think. Or once the alarm goes off I go from bed.
Exactly.
You know, this kind of stuff, and just, you know, help yourself or coach yourself during the process, and think about this: what can stop me? How can I make this easier? And help yourself in the situation. You will see that it's so much easier. I think that
it's true.
This is just like, act from a place of love and be your friend.
Yes.
You know,
be your friend. That's such a good statement.
Yeah, because I mean, when you come from this place, you will know what to do. You will know what to do. You will know when you need a push. This happens to me. Sometimes I feel like I'm two people. There's two people inside. Sometimes I'm like, okay, you need to rest. Just stop the nonsense and go. And sometimes in my head, I'm like, you can do better than this. Come on, what you're doing? Procrastinating like for 2 hours, watching Netflix. You know?
Yeah, I think it really, for me, I think community always helps. So when I
Mhm.
was doing the triathlon, I did it with a friend. And so we held each other accountable. And also online, there's this great website that I forgot what it's called. But it was like beginner triathlete. And there you have people putting down like all the horror stories of what happened to them. Like one time this guy who was riding his bike and practicing got pulled over by a cop and issued a speeding ticket while he was on a bike. He actually got a speed. I didn't realize that you could get a speeding ticket on a bike, but
Is
apparently you
it
can.
possible?
It is possible
Wow.
because he was going that fast that he apparently exceeded the speeding limit and he got written a ticket. I don't know what
Whoa.
happened with the case. I don't know if he went to court and he got thrown out. I don't know, but now we know that that is possible. So to
Okay.
me, that helped me, like the community of going there to read the stories and people telling you how when you first get in the water, there's going to be like all these hands and feet kicking you. And it kind of helped you prepare yourself for what the experience is going to
Yeah.
be. So
Yeah.
whatever your goal is, like maybe you want to lose some weight, it will help you if you could join a community. Like I
Mhm.
did Weight Watchers when I was in college. And it helped that like every Tuesday the woman would make me step on a scale in front of everybody and then would like announce my weight and if I'd lost any. And I'll never forget this. After Easter I came back and I gained like a pound instead of losing. And she asked me, "Did you eat the Easter bunny?" And I was so offended. I was like, "Oh my goodness, I can't believe she said that to
No,
me."
she didn't.
Yes, she did. And I was so upset. But you know what? That was motivation to like lose the weight the next week because I didn't want to hear another snarky comment like that. Who says that?
Well, no. Well, apparently, some people
So I
do.
think I'm such a big proponent of community because then you have somebody to hold you accountable. You have other people that you can talk to about what you're experiencing and going through. Maybe if you want to quit smoking, going to AA meetings, NA
Mm,
meetings, like whatever, it helps you to have other people that are going through the same thing because then
yeah.
you'll know that you're not alone and the feelings that you're feeling are valid. It's valid to feel that way.
Yeah, yes, totally agree. Another thing that you can do is just do some research and look for people who already achieved your goal.
Mm-hmm.
Look for people you admire. There's this coaching exercise that I love where you look for people that you admire and you write down the reasons why you admire those
I
people,
like that. Okay.
especially when you are trying to figure out who you are and the person you would like to be. For example, if you have personal goals, just take a look at the people that you admire, watch a couple of
Mm-hmm.
videos, and just write down what you admire about those people, and so you can have a sense of direction of what do you want
Yes.
to
That's such a
achieve.
great idea. I really like
I love
that.
this exercise. I love it's
Yes.
beautiful, and I've done it. And sometimes I do it, and I get like different people every time I do it. Because
Okay.
things change, and I learned a little bit more, and so it changes, and
Yeah.
it's very interesting.
This is kind of like that exercise that says like if you could have dinner with five people, who would they be?
Uh huh.
Have you heard of that? Yeah. And
Yes,
then you
yes,
write
I
down the
heard of
five
that.
people like that you would want to have a conversation with and then why.
Yes. Usually, this type of exercise is not about the other people; it's about
It's about
you,
you.
because
Exactly.
they have things in common with you that you probably don't even know. And
Mm-hmm.
I really recommend people to do this because you get a sense of who you are and you get a sense of where you can get, because those people have a
Yes.
little bit of you as well.
You
And
can
I really,
also
really
do that with movies. Like which three movies do you think represent your life? That's a powerful
oh,
one.
I never done this. I don't
Yeah, so
know.
so think about the three movies, or actually they can also be three shows. So for example, one of mine is Designing Women. Have you ever seen that?
No.
It's a show set in Atlanta, Georgia. It's about these four women that are designers, and it
Hmm.
really just talks about their life and how they're going through life, and it's just funny. So you can think about that's a good one too. Just think about shows or movies that you think are representative of your life, and then what you can do is figure out what all three of them have in common. Because most likely you will see that there's a
Hmm.
common theme running through those three movies that you picked, and that'll tell you something about yourself.
Ah, that's so cool. I love just
Yeah.
this type of exercise. I just love it so much. So yeah, so if you were starting to work on your goals, you can work in categories of your life. I think we mentioned that already. Didn't I mention
Yes.
this already?
You mentioned it, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so I would like to talk a little bit about motivation
Okay.
because when you set a goal, it's very important that the goal is emotional and that the goal is motivating enough, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if it is a long goal, like that is going to take you some time to achieve, that motivation is going to fade away.
Yes.
Even though it's a big goal and it means the world to you, it can be your purpose in life, motivation eventually is going to fade away. And this happens to everybody. So when you set a goal, you're going to feel happy, energized, motivated. You're going to listen to all this advice, for example, that you heard from this. It happened to me, like, yes, I'm going to do this. And you do the exercise and you are pumped for a week, and then the motivation goes away.
Yes.
Bye bye, motivation. So it happens. I just want to tell people that it's normal. Motivation is not a personal trait. If I'm, you know what I mean? Sometimes
Yes.
people say,
Yeah.
"Oh, you are so motivated.
Right.
You are so motivated." Yes, kind of, but I build my motivation like every day with small things, looking at my goals every day, working with affirmations, working with visualizations. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes I just have to do I don't want to do it, but I will do it anyway. Sometimes you have to force yourself to do something, even if you don't want to.
Mm-hmm.
In these moments, it kind of helps to go through whatever you want to achieve again. It helps going through your vision board. And there is one thing that people may think it's corny or whatever, but set a good motivating playlist on your
Oh,
phone
yes.
and just
Okay.
listen to music. For
Yes, that's
me,
so true.
Destiny's Child.
Music. Eminem.
For me, it's Destiny's Child. Okay, I'm gonna do this, and I listen to I'm a survivor, and I'm on this, and I can do anything. Set a playlist. This goes with what we spoke before, like being your friend. This
Yes.
is you being your friend. This is you
Mm-hmm.
helping yourself. So, and there are a lot of motivational videos online
Mm-hmm.
on YouTube, and sometimes they are just the energy you need to start doing stuff.
Yes.
Yeah. How
I
do you
like that.
motivate yourself when you don't have the motivation?
What do I
Oh,
do?
I just go with the flow, Erika. I just sit down and do nothing.
First, I bitch about it, and then when I'm done bitching about it, I get out of bed.
You look so exhausted, like, oh, whatever.
It was a hard question.
I love hard questions. We're good. Yeah,
How do I motivate? Okay, I would have to say, get out of bed, make your bed. I watched this speech once. It was a very short speech about a man who was in the military that was giving a address at a graduation. And what he said is, make your bed every single morning, because that means that you've accomplished one thing, and that sets the mood for the entire day. So don't just get out of bed, but get out of bed, make your bed, and that you set the stage for how the rest of the day goes. So I think for me, I need to have a routine. I need to get out of bed, do my yoga, do my mantra chanting, dance it out, have a shower, and I'm ready. And you saw what happened a couple of weeks ago when I did not do that. I stopped with everything. Not only did I stop the yoga, I mean, I stopped everything because I just wanted to see what would happen. Bad things happen, okay?
Bad things happen. Bad things happen.
So I think for me, I know that routine works for me and puts me in a good mindset. And so that's what I have to force myself to do it, even when I don't want to, because I see how much it affects me as a person when I don't do what I'm supposed to be doing.
I think routine
So
is
sometimes it's good. Sometimes you need to see the negative so that you can have the positive, right? You need to know what happens when you don't do that.
It's true. Completely true. Totally agree. It happens to me with the meditation.
Yes.
I need to meditate every day. Some people may not need it. I think you should find whatever you need. If that's going to the therapist once a week, or if it's meditating, if it's going for a run. For me, it's meditating. I can skip a lot of things, but meditation, I cannot skip meditation because I feel the difference. I really feel the difference. So routine, yes, it's figure out your routine, whatever works for you. It can be something very simple as having a
Maybe a
cup
wake
of,
up call, like a song that wakes you up in the morning. It's the first thing that you
yes,
hear.
yes, I think so. And for me, it helps me a lot to have visuals. I'm a very visual
Yes.
person. I guess
Mm-hmm.
it depends on the type of person you are. Since
Yeah, right.
I'm
If you're
very
auditory,
visual,
visual,
yeah,
doing.
since I'm very visual, for me, just seeing my goals and or my vision board, or I have a board here where I write the most
Right
important
things. Yeah, I
things.
remember.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I add things, and every time I see that, and sometimes I'm like, I sit down and I and I stare at it. You know what I mean? And that's enough.
Yes.
And that's enough to motivate me
Mm-hmm.
when there is no motivation. And sometimes I am not motivated because that's not what I want to do, and my goal changed, and
Yes.
it makes no sense anymore.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
Maybe in the process of working towards your goal, you realize that that was not your goal all along.
yeah,
And that's when you need to be flexible and just change your goal. And that's fine. Like that, it showed you as you were going through the process that maybe things need to change.
yeah.
And so like when you said let it go, like let go of how the goal happens, just you let go and you trust the universe.
Yes, totally, totally. And I think there's something embarrassing about having goals and not achieving the goal. So,
Ah,
and
yes.
sometimes we don't want to admit, even to ourselves, no one knows about the goal, just yourself. You don't want it anymore. And even you don't want to admit to yourself that you don't want it. So you don't
Mm-hmm.
admit that you failed. And yeah,
Exactly.
not
Because failure to us in society is marked as bad, right? Like, and we're socialized as children that when you fail a class, it's the worst thing that ever happens to you in life. And so then we
yeah,
begin to see failure as a bad thing. But that's not, I don't believe in that. I don't know what other people believe, but
no.
failure is a stepping stone towards your next success.
Of course, I love it. Can you say failure is a
It's the
stepping
next
stone?
stepping stone to your next success.
I love it. And
Yeah,
that's true. There's no such thing as failure. I struggle with
exactly.
this. I love to be perfect and do everything right and achieve everything. But I am starting to learn there's no such thing as failure, because I
Mm-hmm.
admitted to myself that most of the time when I'm scared of failing, it's because I am scared. That's
I feel
not
like you're reading your
failure. That's not
No, I'm just
failure.
laughing because I think I understood what the message meant.
Okay.
That's the thing about Geminis. We have very what's the word? Um our face says it all. Like you can tell how we're
Yes,
feeling
this
about
is
our
not a
face.
good thing. You know what? This is not
I
a good
know
thing
it's
because
not.
everybody knows what you're feeling. You're like, I don't like you. And it's all
Exactly.
over your face. And you think you have a poker face, but you don't.
No. I know I don't. That's why I don't play poker. I'd be like, hell yes, I just won.
Okay. I admitted to myself. Okay, I know what I was going to say. Okay, so for me, it was very important to admit to myself that when I'm scared of failing, it's not really about me. I'm just scared that
Okay.
other people will see me fail,
Yes.
and I will feel
Mhm.
embarrassed.
Yes.
And this is very hard to admit. And to say this out loud, I'm like,
Mhm.
but it's true, because most of the times I don't care.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I really don't care. If I have one person showing up at my event, I'm happy I can help this one person. But if I have to tell everybody, listen, I had one person, I will feel embarrassed. So that's not about me. That's about me having to tell other people that I failed. So
Mhm.
it was so important for me to understand that. And now when I'm scared of failing, I remind myself of that, because my core, my true self, I really don't care if I fail,
Mhm.
especially right now that I feel like I'm living
Yeah.
in my purpose. Like
Mhm.
every day, I'm living in my purpose. I have a job when I'm in purpose. I do stuff, podcasts, I write. I am in my purpose every day. So
Yes.
everything exterior that people see
Mhm.
really doesn't matter, because I am happy.
Right. And
So
most people just see from their own self, not from like how you're looking at it.
yes, exactly. So failure, it's kind of an it doesn't exist. It
Yeah.
cannot exist, especially when you're living in like you fail at what?
Mm-hmm.
Who's counting?
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
I have an well, it's not really an embarrassing story. It's funny. So I worked with a friend to host a workshop in Bali, and we literally just got together one day, wrote up the plan for what the workshop was going to be, and then we negotiated the price of the place where we had it. Like they let us rent the space, but we had to pay them a certain amount of money.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, we didn't have that many people come. We had 3 people come, and we ended up having to pay a little bit out of our own pocket for the rental space. So we made no money off the workshop at all. And on top of that, we had to pay the guy for giving us the space. And so I think it's funny because maybe some people might look at that as failure, but to us, it wasn't. It was a success because we got together, we didn't know each other. We made a workshop. We had 3 people attend and they all liked it. And so it was a success. It wasn't a failure. But it's just something funny to look back on now. Like, hey, when you first started out, you were paying to have workshops instead of making money off of
Yes.
them. But
It is
that's not, that's
true.
what we learned so much from that whole episode of what people want in a workshop, where to have it, how to advertise. We also literally advertised Friday and Saturday and then had the workshop on a Monday. So it wasn't like we did the right thing, but it was growing. It was a very growing experience, and I'm glad we did it.
Yeah. I love the sentence that says either you win or you learn.
Exactly.
That's it.
Yes.
That's it. And this is one funny thing that I say myself every time something like that, like the story you told, happens. I tell I say to myself like, look what a great story I'm going to tell people when I'm so successful. And I
Exactly.
will
Exactly.
tell
That's what we
people
said.
that this happened. I once record. I have some recorded audios from when I lived in this house that I hated.
Okay.
Like just to and in this house was where I had this like where my purpose was born and
Mm-hmm.
everything. And I recorded some audios like, here I am living in this house, but in the future, I am going to live in a big house with enough space for me to have a yoga studio inside my house with blah, blah,
Mm-hmm.
blah, 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 blah.
Yes.
Yeah. Guess what happened?
Now
Now
you
I
have
can
a
tell
yoga
the
studio.
story.
Yes.
Yes, and it's and so I mean, if you have a goal, just I mean, if you really want it, just keep going. It takes
Mm-hmm.
time and patience, and I think it's important for you to really know that motivation is not always there. There's nothing
Yes.
wrong with you because
Mm-hmm.
sometimes you have a beautiful goal and you're like, oh, I should be motivated to do this. Well, maybe not every day. It's not motivation is
Mm-hmm.
not something that you have every day. So just be kind to yourself
Yes.
and help yourself and use the advice that we gave you here and there.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that we want to share with everybody?
I don't think so. I think that and that's it. I would love to say people just one last thing, just be patient.
Yes.
Because we're talking about goals, we need to be patient and remind yourself that things always take longer
Mm-hmm.
than they appear. Okay, and be patient and kind to yourself. That's the
Absolutely. I like that. So
only.
thank you
Okay.
so much for joining us. Erica is going to put up the email address if you want to email us or comment. We love your comments. Uh, so please keep our comments coming
Yeah, that's
and
it,
join us next
everybody.
week.
Join us next week. Don't forget to like,
Yes.
share with someone you love that you think that can benefit from this, and follow us. We are
Yes.
here.
Thank you.
Bye,
Bye.
everybody.